The days that followed Luna's meeting with Tessa were filled with a growing sense of purpose. Every moment felt charged with energy, as if something was about to shift, something deep inside her had finally awakened. For the first time in months, she didn't feel like the woman who had been betrayed. She wasn't the grieving wife. She wasn't the woman wallowing in self-pity. She was someone else now. Someone stronger. And Darlington was going to pay for what he had done. Tessa was relentless in helping Luna. Every time Luna felt like backing down, Tessa was there to remind her of her worth. "You are better than this, Luna," Tessa would say. "You deserve to be happy. You deserve to feel loved. And if Darlington isn't going to give that to you, then we'll make sure he regrets it. Big time." And so the plan began to take shape. Luna had access to everything in Darlington's life. His business dealings, his social circle, his friends. She had built a life with him, and it wasn't just about the marriage, it was about everything he had worked so hard to build. Luna knew Darlington. She knew his weaknesses, his ego, his pride, his fear of losing control. And Luna was going to use all of it against him. The first part of the plan was simple. Luna needed to get back into the social circles Darlington had cut her out of. For weeks, Darlington had made sure Luna was isolated. He had kept her at home, surrounded by their servants and his business contacts, and out of the spotlight. He had controlled everything, where she went, who she spoke to, even what she wore. But now Luna was going to break free. She had a few phone calls to make. It wasn't long before she had reconnected with some of the most powerful people in the city. She reached out to old friends, colleagues, and business partners she had known before her marriage. She reminded them of who she was, the woman who had once charmed rooms with her presence, the woman who had held the city's elite in the palm of her hand. Slowly, she began to rebuild her reputation. She started attending high-profile events again, wearing stunning outfits that turned heads. She mingled with the rich and famous, laughed with businessmen and their wives, and reminded them all of her charm and elegance. Darlington noticed it. He couldn't avoid it. He had built his empire, but Luna had been the one who had helped him do it, until she became his anchor, his reminder of what he could lose if he wasn't careful. And now she was everywhere. He hated it. He hated seeing her smile again. He hated seeing the way people looked at her. But the more he tried to ignore it, the more it ate away at him. Luna was regaining control. And Darlington hated it. The second part of the plan was far more dangerous. Tessa had suggested it, but Luna had hesitated at first. She wasn't sure she was ready for such a bold move. But now, with Darlington growing more restless by the day, Luna knew she had no other choice. She needed to show him just how much power she still held. She had to hit him where it hurt most, his business. Darlington had built his fortune on the back of his tech company. Luna had always been his silent partner, working behind the scenes to help him build connections and navigate the corporate world. But Darlington didn't know that Luna had access to some of the company's most sensitive data. She had a password to his email, his financial reports, and even the business dealings he thought no one else knew about. Luna knew exactly what she needed to do. She opened his laptop one evening when he wasn't home and began to comb through the files. There, hidden deep within the company's financials, was a deal, one that Darlington had been hiding from investors. It was a shady deal, involving risky investments that could bankrupt the company if they went wrong. Luna took screenshots of the files and sent them to an anonymous account. She wasn't going to destroy him entirely, but she was going to make sure he knew that his secret was no longer safe. The next day, Darlington was furious when he saw the leak. "Who did this?" he shouted into the phone as he stormed around the house, looking for answers. Luna sat quietly in the living room, pretending to be completely unaware of the chaos unfolding. She could hear his footsteps grow louder as he paced. "This is impossible. Impossible. Who would betray me like this?" Luna just waited. She knew this was the moment when the real storm would begin. He had no idea it was her. He had no idea that his wife, the one he had humiliated, the one he had discarded, was the one who had brought his empire to its knees. But Luna wasn't done yet. The third and final part of the plan would be the hardest. It would involve Darlington seeing everything he had done to her, every lie, every secret, every broken promise, and realizing that he had lost everything. Luna was going to leave him. For good. She had already begun making arrangements. She had contacted a lawyer and set up a meeting to file for divorce. She wasn't going to wait for Darlington to come to his senses. She wasn't going to beg for him to come back to her. She was going to walk away, and she was going to do it in a way that would make him regret everything. And then, when he had nothing left, Luna would be free. Free to live the life she deserved. Free to find someone who would never betray her. And when the day came that Darlington realized the full extent of what he had lost, it would be too late. Luna would be long gone. As Luna looked out the window, she felt something inside her settle. She had taken control. She had turned the pain into power. The weeks passed, and Luna's transformation was nearly complete. She was no longer the quiet, heartbroken wife of a man who had betrayed her. She was a force, unshakable, powerful, and unyielding. Darlington could see it. The social events she attended, the business moves she made, the way people turned to her for advice and support. Luna was everywhere, and she was thriving. But the tension between them was palpable. Every time Darlington saw Luna, it was as if his whole world was crumbling. He could feel the distance between them growing, a gap he could never bridge. He tried to reach out, texts, calls, emails, but Luna ignored him. His attempts were weak, desperate, like a man grasping at smoke. He had underestimated her. Now she had become a shadow that haunted his every step. And deep down, Darlington knew it was only a matter of time before Luna made her next move. One evening, Darlington came home early, determined to confront his wife. He found her in the study, sitting in front of her laptop as usual. She was typing something, probably another message to one of her business contacts, he thought. But when Luna saw him, she didn't even look up. It was as if she had already decided he wasn't worth her time. "Luna," Darlington said, his voice tight. "We need to talk." Luna's fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment, but she didn't turn around. She simply said, "We don't have anything to talk about, Darlington." Darlington's jaw clenched. "You've been ignoring me for weeks. You think I don't know what's going on? You think I don't see what you're doing?" Now Luna turned to face him. Her eyes were cold, detached. "What am I doing, exactly?" "You're destroying me, Luna," he snapped. "You think you can walk away from everything we've built together and leave me with nothing? You're going to regret this." Luna stood up slowly, her movements graceful but deliberate. "No, Darlington. You're the one who's going to regret this." She stepped closer, her eyes locked onto his. "You had everything, Darlington. A loving wife, a successful business, a life that many would envy. And you threw it all away, for what? A cheap fling? A pregnant mistress?" Darlington's face twisted with rage. "You don't understand, Luna. This wasn't just about her." No," Luna cut him off, her voice steady but filled with a quiet fury. "This was about you and your need for control. You thought you could keep me in the shadows while you played games with someone else. Well, now you're going to see how it feels to be powerless." Darlington took a step back, a slight tremor running through his hands. "You think you can just walk away from me and my company? You have no idea what I'm capable of." Luna smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was a smile that sent a shiver down Darlington's spine. "I'm not walking away from you, Darlington. I'm walking away from the lies." She looked at him with pity in her eyes, as if he were nothing more than a broken man who had finally come to terms with his own destruction. "You were never in control. Not of me, not of the situation, and certainly not of the damage you've done. You lost everything before you even realized it." Darlington's breath caught in his throat. What are you talking about? Luna reached into her bag and pulled out a document. She slid it across the desk toward him. It was a divorce petition. Darlington's eyes widened. He couldn't breathe. "You're divorcing me?" he whispered, his voice raw with disbelief. "Yes," Luna said softly. "And I've already filed the paperwork. It's only a matter of time before the court finalizes everything." Darlington's face flushed with anger. He slammed his fist on the desk, causing the papers to scatter. "You can't do this. You think I'll just let you take everything?" But Luna stood tall, unwavering. "You already gave everything away, Darlington. You just didn't realize it." Darlington stood there, staring at her, unable to process what was happening. His empire, his wealth, his reputation, all of it was crumbling. "Luna," he whispered, voice cracking. "Please. I'll change. I'll make things right." But Luna shook her head, a sad smile on her lips. "It's too late for that." She turned her back on him and walked toward the door. But before she left, she paused. "You see, Darlington, karma has a funny way of showing up when you least expect it. And when it does, it takes everything." With that, she left. Weeks passed, and the divorce proceedings were swift. Luna's lawyer was skilled, and the courts quickly saw through Darlington's desperate attempts to cling to his wealth and status. The truth about his shady business dealings and his affair with his pregnant mistress began to leak, thanks to the information Luna had quietly passed to the right people. Investors began to pull out of his business. His reputation began to shatter, and soon Darlington found himself fighting to keep what little he had left. But it was all slipping through his fingers. And Luna? She had already moved on. She had started her own business, using the contacts and skills she had honed during her years with Darlington. She had a new life, a life where she was in control. She was no longer the woman scorned. She was a force in her own right. And when the final judgment came, Luna walked away with everything. Half of their assets, full custody of their home, and a sense of freedom that no money could buy. Darlington, on the other hand, was left with nothing. The woman he had betrayed was now the one who stood tall. And as Luna watched Darlington struggle to pick up the pieces of his shattered life, she couldn't help but smile. For she knew that he had finally learned the price of betrayal. And it was a price he would never be able to pay.